Today on Ballistic BBQ, I'm going to be paying a little tribute to the south side of Chicago with barbecued rib tips on El Patron. Let's get going. For those of you who may not know what rib tips are, basically if you look at a whole untrimmed rack of spare ribs, you'll notice there's a fat seam that runs basically over the top of where the actual bones are. Above that is a strip of really nice tasty meat. Basically when you're making or trimming up a rack St. Louis style, you're going to remove that whole strip of tips. And in Chicago, they're a delicacy, barbecued rib tips. And I love, when I'm trimming a rack of untrimmed spares, they're like kind of a little treat before the actual feast. But that being said, I think I would rather, personally, if I'm cooking for the household here, I love cooking untrimmed spare ribs. I just think, when it's all done, that area where the tips are, that meat is just so plump and juicy, it pulls right off. It's just kind of a delicacy. But what I have here is 6 pounds of rib tips. Now, I do want to address something right now before I continue. I opened up these packages of rib tips this morning and I noticed something different. These weren't the rib tips that I thought I was buying. What I just showed you, that top trimming off the rack of spare ribs. This was what restaurants like Applebee's call riblets, which, although they're being sold as rib tips, it's a completely different cut of meat. Riblets actually come further down the loin, down that spine, where those little butterfly thin bones are on top of the spine. That's where this meat comes from, but they're being sold as rib tips. So rather than shooting an Applebee's video, I'm just going to continue on with the theme of Chicago rib tips. I actually bought these at Walmart. The thing that inspired me to do this video was I was at Walmart and I was looking for kind of affordable meats to barbecue, and I saw these. They were on sale and they were actually a little over $1 less than a rack of spare ribs per pound. So I bought them. I bought, like I said, 2 packs. They were each right around 3 pounds. It's funny, I went back yesterday because I wanted to add one more pack and they were all sold out. But you got to get them while you see them. That's, again, something I've learned and I need to practice that a little bit more. So what I'm going to do first is just season these, and I'm using a all-purpose rub. It's a little bit on the sweeter side. They're kind of crammed in here, so I'm modeling this cook after a very famous barbecue joint on the south side of Chicago called Limbs. And Limbs, and actually a lot of the barbecue joints there, they're cooking in what they call aquarium cookers. And basically what these are like large open pits. If you can imagine, you're cooking over direct heat. I mean, picture a Santa Maria grill, but only without an adjustable grate. And they're enclosed with glass, like a large aquarium. So you can actually see the food in there as it's cooking. Of course, the glass is all, stained. Got a dog next door that's smelling barbecue. I think when she starts smelling smoke, she gets excited because she knows I'm going to be cooking. But anyway, so Limbs, yeah. And that's why, I saw these rib tips at the store at Walmart, and I thought, yeah, I want to cook those. I've been wanting to do a rib tip video for quite some time now. And then I was trying to decide what cooker would best suit this cook as far as trying to keep it, like Limbs. Of course, I don't have an aquarium cooker, but I think that El Patron is the next best thing. I mean, you were cooking over direct heat. It's fully enclosed. And if these walls were glass, it would be an aquarium cooker, basically. So that's what I'm cooking on. And as far as temps, we're going to be running this between 275 degrees and 300 degrees. It's going to be a quick cook. This isn't a lot of meat here, so it's not going to take too long. And right now, I'm still waiting for this to come up to temp, which is fine. I have these are all rubbed now or seasoned. I want to let these kind of marinate in this dry rub. So as soon as we hit around 275, I'll meet you at the pit. All right, we just hit 275. It's time to get this pit loaded up with rib tips. All right, get this closed. And I'll show you how I'm running this right now. At the moment, I have this fully open, and on the first notch, I'll throw in a little hickory. This exhaust damper here on this side is fully open, and right here on the left side, as you're facing it, it's about 3/4 of the way open. So as I said, I'm running this between 275 degrees Fahrenheit and 300 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'll make adjustments as I need to. I am running a remote thermometer just so I can keep tabs on this while I'm in the house doing other things. But again, I'm giving myself a nice margin, that 275 to 300. I don't think I'll have any problem with that at all. So next thing is going to be the sauce. I'll show you what we're going to do for the sauce. Again, we're going for that kind of limbs style. When I made up my mind that I was going to do this video, I thought it would be cool to recreate Lim's barbecue sauce. There is a copycat recipe of the Lim's barbecue sauce out there. I don't know how accurate it is. I've never been to Lim's. So I thought I'll buy a bottle of Lim's barbecue sauce and then I'll recreate it as best I can, do that on video. It'll be cool. So I went online, did a search for Lim's Chicago barbecue sauce, rib tips, and I came up with Lim's barbecue sauce. It's Lim's meat varnish. I bought it thinking it was actually from the restaurant. It's not from the restaurant. It's something totally different as far as branding. I went on Lim's website, or their actual restaurant website. They're not selling their barbecue sauce. They're selling like a rub. But reading about Chicago barbecue sauce, this fits that profile. It's very well balanced. It's got a little teeny bit of heat, some sweet and tanginess. And the one thing about the Lim's barbecue sauce is it's pretty thin. It's thinner than normal barbecue sauces. So what I'm going to do is just pour this bottle in the pot here. And this is good sauce, so I'm not knocking Lim's here. But it was a little frustrating, and and whatever, it's the internet. So then what I'm going to do is add some apple cider vinegar. I don't want it real watery, but I want it thinner. Then what I'll be doing is heating this up and applying it to the ribs after they're done. And that's what I'm looking for right there. See how it's dripping off, but it's not glopping off. So again, this will be heated up for the final application. As far as these rib tips are concerned, really all I'm going to do now is just kind of monitor them. I'll be flipping them. And like I said, I'm guessing maybe about an hour or so and they'll be done. It's been about 10 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and give these a little spritz and a flip. And by the way, how Lim's is controlling those aquarium pits is with water. They have hoses and sprayers, and they just spray the coals when it's getting a little too hot. All right, so that's just going to be the program until these ribs are done. Here we are, another 15 minutes has passed. This basically is going to be my routine here. So actually, let me spritz these and then flip them. Every 15 minutes, I'm just going to give them a spritz and a flip. I'm getting a nice little char on them. I'm liking it. So all right, see you in another 15 minutes. All right, here we go again. This seems to be working. I like it. I like the spritzing before I flip because the water is getting down to the charcoal, similar to like Chicago. These are definitely plumping up and feeling pretty tender. So I think another 15 minutes, these will be DUNN done. So I've been hitting them fairly heavy with the Spritz, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. These rib tips are really plumping up. They're feeling nice and tender. Like I said, I'm going to give them 15 more minutes and then pull them. The smell right now, so you know, I am smelling the smoke like you would associate with barbecue, but I'm also smelling almost more of a grilling flavor. So it's smelling more like grilled meat than smoked. But I'm excited. Really starting to get hungry here. Okay, total cooking time 1 hour, and I am pulling these rib tips. I'm going to allow these to rest a bit before we chop them up and give them that glaze. All right, here we are. This is going to be my portion. Little cleaver fun here. All right, we'll get these plated up and give you a try. Traditionally served it right over French fries. These smell good, and now I'm smelling them with like the French fry smell. All right, let's glaze these. Just kind of dripping it on here. We want it to go onto the ribs, but we really don't want it to completely saturate those fries. Some may. And I guess you can order when you at Lem's. They'll also, upon request, serve these with the sauce on the side. All right, let's give these a go. Again. Very tender. It's, you know, pulling clean off that bone. It's very, very tender. This is one of those, you know, once considered a throwaway that it's definitely worth cooking these up. I think where my head is now is these are definitely a dish. This is worth making a meal out of. It's not just a like an appetizer at a bar or anything like that. This is a good hearty meal. And again, it's not really any more difficult to eat than a regular rib. But the sauce, I know I was kind of talking about it because it was sort of deceiving, the limbs. Meat varnish, but it's good. It's a good sauce. And especially pumped up, you know, and thinned down with that vinegar. The Patron, I think, was a perfect call for this type of cook. I do think it replicates that type of cooking system, you know, that low direct flame with, you know, fully enclosed. So I'm glad that I chose that cooker to do this. And again, it was, I had good control of the heat, but it also allowed me to get, you know, pump the heat up enough to where I could, you know, get a little bit of a char on these. So yeah, it was good. Really good. Anyway, any suggestions, especially when it comes to, I'm trying to focus on some inexpensive type cuts. So if there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know. If you are new to the channel or you haven't subscribed, please consider hitting that subscription button, ring the notification bell. Thumb it up if you liked the video. I hope you did. See you on the next one. Cheers.